James Gunn. He's a guy who makes things and sometimes directs things, and he made and directed. He didn't make, but he directed Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's kind of a famous thing. And now, recently, because of this thing that's going on, which I want to talk to you about, where people find old things from your past and say, "Hey, wasn't that fucked up what you did? And now you should lose your job." That's like the thing. Right. And so they found some stuff from him, and I'll read these couple ideas so we have reference. One of the things he said a time ago, tweet, was his, I like when little boys touch me in my silly place.
That was a tweet?
That was a tweet or something. Yeah, I think these are all tweets.
Okay.
Another one was, the best thing about, this is, for everybody listening to the podcast, these are not my words. These are James Gunn's. We're doing it for reference because it's important.
Yeah.
The best thing about being raped is when you're done being raped and it's like, whew, this feels great not being raped. And you could see that in like a stand-up act as a terribly bad joke that someone might do on stage.
I could see. Yeah, I've seen somebody do a lot of really, really bad stuff on stage for sure.
Right, and that wasn't on stage. That was like, I guess, a tweet. So it takes a different meaning too, and a different kind of feel. When again, a lot of this is context too. But even with that, there's no context for that. That's just like ridiculous. Anyways, then he's made other things about 9/11 and AIDS and the Holocaust. And then a monkey masturbating on a kid for some reason.
Right.
So here's the big question for you, and also just kind of for the podcast. Like, I understand it'd be weird, and it's sort of weird, that like a conservative side says, hey, we want to get this person and use a kind of an agenda to find old stuff and old dirt on someone to, damn them or whatever. Like, that's like not cool to do anyhow. But that being said, how it came out doesn't really matter, does it? Because I wrote in bold, I would never say shit like that. Mm-hmm. Like, that's in my notes, because I've never said anything like that ever, even joking with you off of a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, Adam, let's say the dirtiest shit to each other and laugh hilariously.
Yeah.
Yeah, which by the way has never happened.
Yeah.
So that's my main point. It's not really a question, I guess. It's just I get some people are talking about Mike Cervinicic or whatever the fuck his name is, like using this because of far right, blah, blah, blah. And if you're following this on the internet, you already know what I'm talking about. If you're not, Google it. I say I get that, and that's weird. But more importantly, I would not say I like it when boys touch me in my silly place.
Right.
Even as a joke, because it's not funny to me, but also I wouldn't do it because thoughts.
So, I mean, like...
Or is this a non-story, and we can not talk about it?
This is definitely not a non-story. This is like a big deal. I mean, like, he's a big name, and there's a lot of this going around. There's a lot of like consequences, basically, being, enacted on people who say or do things. People in power who say or do things. Mm-hmm. And I'd hate to say that it's like almost like getting into the realm of like thought crimes, where it's like, oh, this person said this thing, because he didn't do anything.
Right.
He said things. And I think that people should be allowed to say whatever they want, but at the same time, they should also be held accountable for the things that they say. So these things, I think that he should be held accountable for these things. I think that, these are some pretty shitty things, and I don't think that he intended to hurt anyone. But I read something about how his response was to the effect of like, I have grown as a person, and I no longer say things just to say them to, like...
Shock value, people. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can understand that, especially, like, with Twitter, like, there's, you're just trying to, like, oh, look at me, I'm important for 10 seconds, and then I'm not.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of that. I don't know. I'm not a famous person on Twitter. There's that.
I know. Actually, I was so like baffled that I found you on Twitter, because I just tweeted before I came to the show, and I was like, I'm gonna talk with Adam. He's there.
9 people that I follow. I don't
Maybe
know.
After this podcast, which is gonna go the worldwide.
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh, this is gonna be on YouTube too.
Oh, the internet.
So the internet,
Yeah.
I think also the other question though, or the other point is when you have a platform,
Hmm.
and your platform is like you said, not like us, like a few hundred, a few thousand. It's like a gazillion,
Right.
and so then now what you're saying, it has a bigger amplified
Right. I
voice.
think that um, that there's definitely like a lot more damage that can be done. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like where um, like if you are speaking to a friend or something one on one, there's not as much of a fallout. But let's say that you're a person of influence and children care about what you say.
Right.
This, then can have like a pretty uh, upsetting effect. And then people who are victimized hear what you say, and then those children who hear what you say repeat what you say, and
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Not even just being affected in a bad way that way, but also just
yeah,
like learning stuff because
yeah,
they're
you
just
learn how to be
sponges.
shitty. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that is a whole other definitely discussion, especially with YouTube and how kids are just watching it nonstop on their phone or tablet or whatever, or their
mm-hmm.
parents' phones, and they are definitely like, I mean, I did that from television. Like
Mm-hmm.
television like was my sponge, and I was like eating up everything that was coming out of that thing.
Yeah,
And so they're doing that same thing with this much wider breadth of stuff,
yeah,
and it can be much more crazy too.
yeah.
Well, along the same lines, Dan Harmon recently came out today. So this is going up Tuesday. Is today Monday? Yeah. And so this will be still in quotes breaking news, but a video came out of him in like an early pilot he did, which again is not hidden or a secret. It's just he did like this weird pilot, which is I think on VCR or something old
Mm-hmm.
school,
Oh wow.
and it was him doing a stupid little pilot thing where he fucks a baby doll toy thing, and he does it because he's I guess it's part of the bit, and then he does it twice because I watched it because I wanted to do my reference research, and it's obviously all tongue in cheek and it's ridiculous, and he's not. I don't know how you could make it realistic, so we're not going to go into that, but it just seemed ridiculous for the sake of being ridiculous, and I still wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
Like I still wouldn't have. So he shut down his Twitter because of it.
right. So
He was like, I just don't want to deal with it.
yeah, I can understand like this, like a lot of people shut down their Twitter because of I not even like backlash, but just because of like um and sometimes they don't even shut down their Twitter. They're just like, I'm going to bed, and then the news is like, they shut down their Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Like with Leslie Jones, like there was some big controversy about when she like was a Ghostbuster, and they were like just tore her shit.
Yeah, I
and it
know.
was like
Stupid.
people were trying to be horrible to her, and she was like, whatever, I'm going to bed. And then like news outlets were like, she quit Twitter.
She quit. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But I think he definitely like
Yeah.
deleted his or whatever it is.
I think that like that is probably like just a sane thing to do if you're like getting any sort of like if you're immediately connected to the public and the public is like upset about a thing.
It's the quickest way to get away from it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like I haven't seen the video.
Whatever I just said is what it is.
Yeah. But I mean like I it sounds weird.
It's weird. It's weird. I like Dan Harmon. I like Rick and Morty. I like the weird shit that they go to in that show. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, they did that. They went there. That's insane.
Yeah.
And this is weirder in a way because I'm like,
Right.
the payoff isn't there. It's not like they're. Oh, by the way, someone mentioned this. One of his first videos with Justin was. I don't know how much he was involved in actually, but maybe he was. I definitely know Justin was. Justin Roiland,
Mm-hmm.
co-creator of Rick and Morty. There was a Back to the Future cartoon that was basically Back to the Future where Marty, instead
Right.
of Morty, was talking to Doc, and they were supposed to go back in time to fix something, but he had Doc tell Marty to lick his balls.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the base of like Rick and Morty.
Right. But like that's the same kind of humor, I guess, because like it happens multiple times in an episode. It's like, no, we've got to time travel. You need to lick my balls again.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me uncomfortable, even though, like, I know that's the point of it, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this, here's the thing. It made me uncomfortable, again, for no payoff. We both do comedy. Let me come up to switch into comedy here in a minute.
Okay.
I think if you go there, Sam Kinison, anybody, Lenny Bruce back in the day, and it's not interesting or funny or has a point, then it's just shit.
Right.
Right? Like, people will say, like, you can say whatever you want as long as it's funny. I don't 100% agree with that, but I also say this Back to the Future skit, the thing I saw, didn't make me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't like, oh, that's funny because he made him lick his balls.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely the idiocracy of the world where people like just seeing or just hearing the word balls and stuff like that. And I get every once in a while, you want a good fart balls thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this one didn't. There was no payoff, so it's almost like it felt like the same thing as the baby thing.
Right.
I was like, well, yeah, but I don't care.
Yeah. I wonder. So like, I wonder how so you've made films about all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have also made films about all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can't like a lot of the stuff that I have like just on my YouTube channel. I only have like 3 videos, but they are so weird.
Have I seen all of them?
You haven't seen any of them?
I haven't seen any of them.
I just made them for my film class, or several film classes. And so they're like, one of them is about toxic masculinity. One of them is about, like physical, like being, like body shame. And without any context, like without the context of the class, you look at it and you're like, whoa, this is the weirdest thing. Not like, oh, this is so crazy. It's just like, this is really stupid, and I don't know what you're doing with it. And that thing that you're doing right there is very strange.
Oh, right. Offensive strange or just
No,
strange?
no,
Strange? Okay.
But I can imagine like creating something and then just saying like, I'll just put that wherever, like that fits somewhere into my like library of crap to fit somewhere into the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of wonder if that's like just a thing that like he just never deleted and just ended up being put on the internet.
Right. But the thing is, the only difference there is I think they were pitching this to a studio.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure, I won't use the internet, but I'm pretty sure it was like, yeah. And so then, yeah, it got on the internet. But I think there's a difference for what you said in your videos and what we're talking about with Dan's.
Yeah, mine are just weird.
Yours are weird. And now I want to see them.
Yeah, well, you can.
We'll put the links in the show notes of this podcast.
If you want.
Yeah, wait, if the audience wants it, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll ask the audience.
I am, in one of them, I'm like not wearing clothes, so.
Well, now I have to clear it from you then.
Okay.
Anyways, we'll pivot for that real quick and go over to the last bit of this was Jason Spencer recently. This is kind of tied to comedy. House Representative, State Representative of Georgia. He was on that, unfortunately, to him, he was on the Who is America show with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, yeah.
And he got him to do crazy shit, which I watched. And basically he was fooled into making an anti-terrorist video, like help, don't get attacked by terrorists or something. And from the very beginning, again, I got to ask these people sanity, because if it's you or I'll just say, speak for you. At the beginning, you're going to like, I don't believe what's happening here. Right. Okay. Yeah. Secondly, you're going to go like, okay, I do believe what you're doing, but I'm also not going to say that or do those things. Did you see it?
I may have not seen this one in particular. I've seen a couple clips.
Okay.
And they are all bananas.
And uncomfortable. Yes.
They're uncomfortable because the guys go through with it. They're like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, of course babies should have guns. Or like, oh, of course, like, we should teach, like, toddlers how to do, whatever.
Sniper rifles. I think that was one of them, yeah. Well, this one was this guy doing, oh my goodness. I'll tell you the 3 things. And then I'm just bringing it up because it does feel the same kind of thing of like, it's almost like putting up a mirror to people. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be happening a lot, for better and worse.
Right.
So I definitely think we could have another whole show just about the lengths that we should go to about holding up people's mirrors in front of them. because, like you said earlier, people change, and physically we're not even the same cells as we were. We change as people, and we should be given a second chance, or third or fourth. But then there's just like sometimes the core of who you are, it's just, weird or evil or bad or fucked up, or evil's the wrong word. Let's go back to Jason. So basically what they had him do was take selfies, or they weren't, by the way, they're not selfies when you take a picture and it's not you. That happens all the time, but they called it selfie. He had the little selfie stick, and he was told that he had to put that stick underneath a woman that was wearing the garb, for like the Middle Eastern garb. What is it called? Oh, I should know that. I feel ignorant all of a sudden.
There's a lot of different names. It depends on.
I know. Well, I'm not gonna. I'll look it up and then we'll keep finishing it. Again, it's an Arab clothing, right?
Yeah.
And so
His job is like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has to put it underneath that. Okay.
Yeah.
Like an upskirt, though.
Okay.
And he's told he needs to do that so he can see if they have a gun under there. That's the first thing you say no to. Okay.
Yeah.
He also was told that he needed to take his pants down with his butt exposed and push the butt towards the person and yell like homophobic stuff, that he was going to like rape them if they were going to be a terrorist or something.
Okay, I saw a headline for an article about this, but I didn't read it. I was
It's
just like,
craziness. Yeah. And then at some point he says, yell the N-word. Sasha tells the guy to yell the N-word, and doesn't say what N-word, but
yeah.
So that guy cleanly and easily yells the N-word.
Of course.
Like, it was like second nature for him to do that. He was like waiting to do it.
Yeah.
So anyways, a bunch of other stuff. And also they told him to talk Asian, and he did. And he said like, Dragon House, Chinatown. And I was like, oh my goodness. And somebody did he make, like, he said chopsticks. I was like, really? You're going to be Asian and say chopsticks?
Yeah.
Because Asian people just say chopsticks all the time.
Of course, they also say things, and he's like, all right, look, I'm really Asian. I'm going to say Chinatown.
And we were laughing at him right now, just so everybody knows in the podcast, laughing at him, not chopsticks. So anyways, he did a bunch of messed up stuff. He was caught in a lie, and now that's his whole defense, is that like the liberal media is trying to make money off of me, and it was their fault, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I think I'm going to say my stance, and I think it's going to be the same as yours, that it doesn't matter how you get tricked into something. Don't get tricked into it, because just don't do it.
Yeah. I don't think that, like, saying he was tricked. I mean, like, let's assume that this was even like a legitimate thing. Like Sacha Baron Cohen suggests in his thing, he's like, I'm a legitimate, like, what is he? He's like, I'm an Israeli, like counter-terrorist.
Counter-terrorist, exactly, yeah.
So like, let's assume that thing is real. He's not like saying like hey, say a bunch of like offensive things and then cuts out the part where he says like, like,
yes,
say offensive things but not things that you believe. He's just like, say the N-word, and the guy's like, boom,
okay,
there it is.
Yep.
So that's like, rather than, he's not like tricking him, he's just like, hey, can you say this? And he's like, yeah.
Right, which feels similar to the gun stuff, right? They're like, hey, can you do this about guns for kids? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because they believe it.
Right. It's like, again, it's the mirror thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what some of this Twitter stuff might be that's coming out. Donna Rumsfeld is also on it, and he signed a waterboard kit. He's like, will you sign my waterboard? Like, it was just like a bucket of water and like a cloth or something. And he's like, oh, I've never had to do that before. That's the part where you say, no, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And they don't, because it's already...
Yeah, and they don't, because Donna Rumsfeld tortures people. He thinks it's great.
Right, it's happened before.
Yeah.
That's messed up.